Part 1. The Dead Zone. The Coronville Valley was known to the U.S. military as the Valley of Death, but for Sergeant Miller and his 5-man squad, it wasn't the insurgents they feared that night. It was the silence. They were sent to check on Outpost BRAVO-6, a small concrete fortress perched on a jagged ridge. The base had gone silent 72 hours earlier. No distress signal, no gunfire. Just static. When Miller's team arrived at the perimeter, the gates were wide open, swinging in the mountain wind with a rhythmic, metallic groan. "Check your sectors," Miller whispered into his comms. Inside, the base was a ghost town. Hot meals were still sitting on the mess hall tables, covered in a thin layer of gray mountain dust. Half-empty cups of coffee, still warm to the touch. But not a single soul was in sight. No bodies. No blood. Just 6 empty combat uniforms laid out neatly on the floor of the barracks, as if the soldiers inside them had simply evaporated. Part 2. The sound in the static. "Sarge, you need to hear this," Private Kowalski called out from the comms room. Miller put on the headset. At first, it was just white noise, but beneath the static, there was a sound, a rhythmic, wet scraping. Scrape. Crunch. Scrape. It sounded like a massive stone being dragged over dry bone. Suddenly, a voice broke through. It was the voice of the missing base commander, Captain Vance. But he wasn't talking, he was sobbing. "It's not a cave, Miller," Vance's voice crackled. "It's a mouth. We built the base inside a mouth." The floor began to vibrate. Miller looked at his thermal optics. The screen flickered. Usually, humans show up as bright heat signatures, but the walls of the outpost were glowing. The concrete was heating up, pulsing like it was filled with warm blood. Part 3. The sand and the teeth. Kowalski was the first to go. He was pulling guard duty by the ammunition depot when he let out a short, stifled yell. When the squad reached his position, Kowalski was gone. Miller shone his tactical light on the ground. Kowalski's boots were standing perfectly upright in the middle of the room. When Miller tipped one over, it wasn't empty. It was filled to the brim with thousands of tiny, white baby teeth and scorched desert sand. "Movement. 3 o'clock, yelled Henderson. The squad saw Gunner. He opened fire into the darkness. The muzzle flashes lit up the hallway, revealing a tall, gaunt figure. It looked like a man, but its limbs were 4 feet long, bending at impossible angles. It moved with a jittery, stop-motion twitch, its face hidden behind a mask of ancient, sun-bleached leather. Part 4. The Jinn's throat. The squad retreated into the basement, the only place that felt solid. But as they descended, the stairs changed. The concrete turned into raw, porous limestone. The smell of gun oil was replaced by the cloying, sweet scent of ancient embalming fluid and rotting spices. They weren't in a basement anymore. They were in a tomb. High above them, they heard the heavy iron doors of the outpost slam shut and the sound of chains, thick, heavy chains locking them in from the outside. "Look at the walls," whispered Henderson, his voice trembling. The symbols carved into the stone began to glow with a faint, sickly violet light. They weren't letters. They were diagrams of the human body, showing how to peel skin without killing the host. Shadows detached themselves from the walls. The Jinn of the valley didn't use guns. They moved like smoke, their fingers ending in long, silver needles. Part 5. No reflections. Miller and Henderson were the last ones left. They found a small room with a cracked mirror on the wall. Henderson looked into it and let out a blood-curdling scream. In the reflection, he didn't see himself. He saw a pile of sand and teeth wearing his uniform. "We're already gone, Sarge," Henderson whispered. "We've been gone since we crossed the gates." Before Miller could grab him, Henderson's body began to collapse, not from a wound, but as if his bones were turning into dust. In seconds, all that was left was his rifle and a heap of sand. Miller turned his helmet cam to face himself. He needed to leave a record. He needed the world to know. But when he looked at the digital screen, his face was gone. In its place was a black, bottomless void. Epilogue. Declassified. The military destroyed BRAVO-6 with a 2,000-pound thermobaric bomb the next morning, citing a major insurgent breakthrough. That the footage from Miller's helmet survived on a cloud server. The final 3 minutes of the tape are still classified. Why? Because the camera keeps recording after the bomb goes off. In the middle of the fire and the rubble, the camera shows a figure walking out of the flames. It wears Miller's uniform, it carries Miller's gun, but it walks with the twitchy, elongated grace of a Jinn. And every night, at BRAVO-6's old coordinates, if you tune your radio to the emergency frequency, you won't hear a distress call. You'll just hear Miller's voice, whispering, "Class is in session." Bring us more recruits.